Happy New Year everybody. First video of the year so far. I'm doing this one indoors because it's early January and it is freezing outside. It's windy and it's noisy. I'm making a video about my forestry tool belt, or what I wear on my forestry belt when I'm working. I'm doing this because one of my subscribers, all of whom I value dearly, we've just passed 3,000 subscribers, so thank you very much boys and girls, we do appreciate you watching. One of my subscribers asked if I would specifically make a video explaining what's on the belt. Now I've had to make a few notes here as well because there's quite a complicated set of things going on here. Now the answer is, what's on the belt? Well, it varies. There is no one answer. It varies depending on the job I'm doing, and it varies depending on who I'm working with. It also varies between individual foresters. Everybody has their own preferred setups, and it also varies depending on whether you are right-handed or left-handed. I'll explain that later. I'm right-handed, so this is set up for my right-handed chainsaw operation. Now this is the actual belt that I use, and this is how it finished the last job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything off, I'm going to take this thing apart, and I'm going to start putting it back together. I'm going to start putting this thing back together to illustrate how I set it up for different operations. Interestingly, I can't remember the last job I was using this on, but the fact that I have carabiners on there tells me it was a rigging job. So there we go. Okay, so we'll take this off. I will take the belt out. And we shall start with the belt itself. This is a proper forester's belt. I believe it's a still. It has two holes for the belt fixings. This is because if it just had one, these would pull apart in very short order. So that's that. The next thing that we use, or that we look at, are the actual holsters. Now there are lots of different holsters. The thing about this setup is that all of the kit that you use comes from different manufacturers, so don't be afraid to mix and match to suit yourself. For instance, this I think is a Baco holster. It's made out of pretty tough polycarbonate, very tough polycarbonate. This is a polycarbonate back and a leather front. This is steel. This may, no, it can't be a steel because it's the same as the Baco. So this is also Baco, but I have got a steel one somewhere. I think in the dim distant past I had a couple of Husqvarna ones that I used. So let's put this together. Now how you actually do this will depend on whether you are left-handed or right-handed, but it will become clear, and we're going to do this way, it will become clear in a while why I am stringing this the way I am stringing it. So I'm going to put this on first, which means that when I wear this, it will be on my left. So I'll be accessing this with my left hand. Let's do the next one. Through there, and out we come. So this holster will be on my right hand side, and whatever's on this holster I'm going to access with my right hand. I always wear the holsters the same way. I always wear them the same way. Okay, so that's our basic setup. Right, now let's have a look at the various bits of kit that I might have on my belt. So let's start with the hook. This is probably the single most important bit of kit that I've got. I tend to use it when I'm just felling and I am cutting the length, because you will often just need to grab something and just pull it out of the way, jam it in a curve to open it up, clear some brush. this is usually what I've always got with me. If you watch my other videos, I almost always have this with me. What I will do with this is I will keep it in there. Now this is where the right-handed, left-handed thing comes in. If I am holding a chainsaw, I will be holding the top handle in my left hand, the throttle in my right. Now if I've cut through a tree and I need to pull something out of the way, chain brake on, I will let go with the right hand, I will hold the saw in my left, which means my right hand is free to do what I need to do with this. If this was on that side, then it means I've got to swap hands for the saw, I've got to pull this out, I've got to use it left-handed, which isn't my dominant side. So that's why I put that hook in that holster on the right-hand side. I may also have my axe with me. The axe is a generally useful bit of kit. I will tend to have it more if I am actually felling trees, if I'm knocking them over, because when you put your face cut in and then you put your back cut in, you very often need to put your wedge in, and I will use this to wedge the tree over. Now, one of the things I always also use this for when I'm cleaning around the bottom of a tree to actually to get in to make the cut is I'll use this to knock off the bottom branches. So if I am felling, I will tend to also have this axe and this wedge. Where will that go? It will tend to go there. That sort of setup. Because when I actually come to use these, I will have put the chainsaw down, so it doesn't matter that they're on the left hand side. The chainsaw will be well out of the way. What else have I got? The log tongs. Now if I'm using log tongs, it usually means I'm actually processing a tree which is already down and I need to actually pick up logs to carry them away. So very often when I'm using log tongs, there is no need for me to be using the axe, the big wedge, so they wouldn't be with me, but I may have my small wedge. These are sacrificial. String I'll go through there, and they just clip on. This is where this comes in. They just clip on here. Hands off there, bit of string. When I need it, I unclip it. The reason being, if I have a log and I cut down through it and I need to stop the log actually pinching the bar, I will often just put that in to stop it, and you just tap that in with your hand. So what I then need, I will still keep my hook handy, but I will then have these on my left hand side. So that's the sort of setup that I would use if I'm actually processing trees which are already on the ground. I'm cutting them to length. Now if I'm processing trees on the ground, what I might also do is bring in my forestry tape. The forestry tape has that little setup on the end, which basically allows you to put it into the edge of your log. Oh, this plastic isn't going to work. When they're finished, you can actually flick it off and it'll come back in. This is a, what's this, 10 meter, 15 meter tape. The reason I will have this hanging on this particular loop on my right hand side is because I will tend to work so that the thicker base stump end of a tree is to my right. So I tend to work this side of a tree. I'll start at the bottom, I'll work my way along with the saw, which means that this is on the right hand side as I walk away. As I'm walking away and I'm measuring whatever length the customer wants, whatever length I want, you know, 2 meters, 4.2 meters, whatever, as I get to the particular point where it's saying, okay, 2 meters, this is what this length needs to be, the hook comes out, and I will often use the hook to just mark. So if I'm cutting previously felled trees to length, this is what's on my belt. Part 3. What else might I have with me? Well, I may have the first aid kit. The problem with the first aid kit is that if you're working in a thick brush area, you're working where you're having to battle your way through branches, or you're having to work through sort of muddy puddles, you're falling down. The problem with these is that it will often get pulled off the belt. So I will carry this with me, but I'm more likely to actually have it in a pocket, or I'm more likely to have it on the belt that holds up my chainsaw trousers under my smock, like that. This is just a small first aid kit. It has things like eye drops in. The large first aid kit has things like proper eye baths in there. This has small wound dressings. It has small bottles of antiseptic. The large first aid kit, which is never far away. If I'm working in the forest, I will always carry the large first aid kit with me, and it's never more than 10-15 feet away from me. It has got the large wound dressings in. If you have a really bad mishap with a chainsaw, you need to get to that quickly. So I will always have a small first aid kit on my person, and the large first aid kit not too far away. One thing I will always have with me, and I've got lots of these, whistles. This just sits in a pocket somewhere. My mobile phone as well, that sits in a pocket. I am never without this. If I'm working alone, then I will certainly have this with me. If you're working very close proximity to somebody else, if they're within shouting distance or screaming distance, you probably don't need this, but I've always got it with me anyway. What else might I have with me? Radio. This has actually got my name and mobile number on it, so I've just blocked these out. This is a VHF radio. I do have my VHF radio operator's license. When might I use this? I might use this when I'm lone working, but there are other people on site. I might use this if I'm working with a harvester. What I may also do is, I do have an earpiece and a small microphone for this, although it does get pulled out. I tend not to use that because it is quite awkward, and I tend not to work in close proximity to harvesters. I don't like doing it. I don't think it's safe, so I don't use the earpiece very often. But I've usually got this with me. Again, it's clipped onto the belt somewhere. However, it does get pulled off. So it's usually, if I need it, again, secreted away on my person somewhere under my smock, or if I'm working in a small area, it's just off next to the first aid kit. Obviously, if I'm working alone, I don't need this. It tends to be used for just coordination and organisation. You're calling in every 20 minutes so people checking that you're okay, you're checking other people are okay. The thing I like about this, I shall turn it on. A couple of things I like about this. First thing, I actually need to be careful here because, hold on a second. I need to be careful here because I'm not too far away from actually where I work at the moment, and if I turn this on, you might actually pick up some people working. What do I like about this? Okay, first thing I like about this is there you go. I have radio on this. I may use this just to listen to radio if I'm on my own. The next thing that I like about this, let's go back to the next thing I like about this, and this is a really useful feature, is that's going to be handy if you need to draw attention to yourself. So it has a strobe setting. Okay, let's get this turned off. I don't want to be picking up anybody else chatting. There we go. So radio. This has a number of different settings. It has a 6 watt setting, which is pretty powerful. It is restricted to line of sight. It has a 2.5 watt setting. I think it has a 1 watt setting. It's waterproof, which is very useful in the woods, especially when we're in clear fell, because they flood from the trench marks from the forwarders and from the harvesters. it's pretty indestructible. I usually have this with me or close by on most of the jobs that I work on. What else might I have? I may have this on again if I'm processing. Again, if I need to, you can use a silky to free a trapped saw if you know what you're doing. I tend to use this if I'm just doing some small roundwood processing, not for the big bar log stuff, just for the small roundwood processing. What else? Let's see. Okay, that's probably it. I will use some combination of these on any particular job that I'm working on. I mentioned at the beginning that I had some carabiners. If I'm working on a rigging job, then I will have carabiners and strops hanging off the belt. If I'm just rigging and there's no need for me to be cutting, then I won't have these with me. But again, it depends. If I'm winching out myself, then I could have most of this kit on my belt. If I have one tree to process, then I will work through all of this. Now there's one thing left to do, and that is to discuss what you think I could or should have with me on my belt, but I actually make a conscious decision to not have on my belt. And these are they. First thing, marker paint. Yeah, it would be great to actually have this with me, but I fell on one of these once and it exploded. They do gradually corrode over time and they can start to leak, and when these start to leak, they just don't come off. So I don't carry marker paint actually with me on my belt. If I need it, I just have it close by. The second thing I don't carry are any form of chainsaw tools. You just lose them and you think, oh, it'll be very easy, slide that in there, it'll be fine. You use them regularly for tightening and loosening chains, but they get knocked out, you lose them all the time. So I don't carry those on my belt. And the last thing I don't carry on my belt, chainsaw chains, because you don't want this thing, especially when it's sharp, swinging around. It will cut you and your clothes to shreds. So there are three things you think I might carry, it would be useful to carry, but I actually don't. So there we have it. What do I carry on my belt? They are the things I carry. You'll not really see me carrying anything else. Remember, when you're setting your belt up, it's entirely up to you how you choose to do it. It again varies whether you're left-handed or right-handed, and whether you can access and use the tools that you use when you're working single-handed. If you need to use them double-handed, then you put them on the left. If single-handed, you put them on the right. Then it allows you to continue holding your saw without having to put it down. Okay, well, I hope that was interesting for you. First video of the new year. Remember, please do like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. If you'd like to see me make any more videos, please put it in the comments and I will do my very best to accommodate you. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Goodbye.